Shut up and sit down.
Cyclists are incredible athletes as far as endurance goes, but a great deal of them fight like little.
Viva, viva le Tour de France. Y a le maillot jaune, le maillot vert.
Speedos. Not only do Speedos offer very little protection for your manly or womanly bits, but they also look wrong. Yes, it'll prevent you from getting farmers' tan lines, but no, that's not a valid excuse. If you want to do group rides without everybody trying to drop you, steer well clear of Speedos. You are far less likely to end up being arrested for indecency or severely reducing your ability to start a family.
You are listening to Le Podcast Day Dialed with Matt Legrand, Evan Price, Lance Hepler, and Jake Von During. 5-time Tour de France champion, Bernard Hinault, once said something that you should really chew on. You can't win without suffering. Whether it's in the mountains or in a time trial, you have to spare no effort. You may feel drained at the finish, but the joy of winning helps you forget everything. Viva Le Tour.
Viva le Tour de France. Viva le Tour de
I wear Speedos. When I'm at the store, you know I'm wearing my Speedos. When I'm doing cardio, I'm wearing Speedos. It feels super breezy like I ride tornadoes. Swimming in my Speedos.
Hi, and welcome back to the Dial Podcast. I'm Jake Von During, and I'm here with Lance Hepler.
Hi, I'm Lance.
Just Lance.
That's it. Just Lance. Without the mustache, you're just Lance.
Without the mustache, there's no more romance.
There's no magic.
There's no magic.
Wait. I thought you lost the mustache, therefore the romance came back.
That's what my wife says.
you
She
probably
loves me without the mustache, and I hate
But
it.
now you're already unshaven.
I know.
This was
It's like-
6 days ago.
Six days ago, I shaved off
And
the
you
mustache.
already
And I
don't look good.
I already regret it. I already regret it.
I like it. I'm just going to go out there, go buck the trend, and say you should mix it up
He
every
looks-
once in a while.
Mix it up.
He looks
Grow
like
it out.
a Florida retiree right now. He's got like the little
That's-
white, like
that's a good
sun-bleached
thing.
hair, like
That's a
slightly
good thing.
unshaven.
You know, so I raced this weekend with a huge group of people who know me. So many people did not recognize who
Oh, yeah.
I was.
Absolutely.
They were like, oh, wait a second. Is that you,
You're
Lance?
that same guy.
I'm the same guy without the facial hair.
Need to get you like a little glue on or like a prosthetic mustache.
So I can show up the races and just
exactly.
glue it on.
Gotcha. To his right, Evan Price.
I am getting my booty handed to me in fantasy right now. Again.
Are you?
I got a bone to pick with you about
I was
that.
even making as safe picks as I possibly could, except for one. And there was like,
I
I'm
went with just
getting
stupid
destroyed.
picks,
I'm just
and
getting
it's working for
destroyed
me.
in this right now. It's awful. This is terrible.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Dustin Schocken is destroying us all. If anybody's been looking, Jake had a great first day or two, but yeah.
I'm
Well-
second on the list, I think.
Yeah.
On that list.
I do
Yeah.
not have a picked team because I followed the link that Evan gave me, and
yeah.
it put me into a league by myself. So I'm winning my league.
You're winning, but you're also
I'm-
losing. You're also
Okay,
last place.
that's a shame because I think I sent the correct link to everybody else, so that was not on purpose.
Thanks
but I'm
a lot,
very
Evan.
glad I did that.
I am in the dialed cycling league,
Oh, my
and
bad.
I'm
That was
now
the-
winning it.
It's just you and Evan, right? And Evan didn't pick a team?
didn't pick a team.
Oh, I picked my team for the podcast
Yes.
one. I thought I sent everybody the podcast. Whoops. Well, that's funny. That's everybody but
okay.
Lance. But we can just
So now-
translate Lance's exact results
Now,
too.
USA
Yeah.
men, you might be able to do that. You might actually be able to go in there and retroactively take the team that he picked in the other league, put
probably
it in
could.
there. You have to just look into it, though.
But do I want to do that?
Well,
is the question.
it's a little different because the budget was bigger, and so you could
Oh, I
pick
do remember
almost
that. For the bigger one, I gave a bigger
you could
budget.
pick
Yeah.
almost any
You could-
player you wanted.
How many riders is it? 8 or
It is.
So
but
he could pick
yeah.
all the way up until the budget doesn't make sense, and then you can go in there and finesse it.
Yeah.
Find somebody that makes it work.
Instead, it just now the tour just doesn't. It's not as exciting for me because I don't have
You should probably not even
money
watch.
on me. I don't think I'm going to watch anymore.
Nah, turn it off. There's tons of other good things that you can watch.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I
Synchronized
just-
swimming.
The gymnastics trials.
I just which
Wait,
was
Biles,
I'm
yeah.
a gymnast. I better
Whoops.
shut up.
which was
Don't worry, just
super,
listen to this.
which was super exciting though. Did anybody see like
At least I remembered she was a gymnast.
we were watching that last night, and there's like in the gym. We're getting so off topic, but like gymnastics, they're like an entire floor routine is like somebody's entire career is on the line for one
right.
floor routine.
Yep, that's
Some
true.
poor girl like a massive what looked like a high ankle sprain or fracture or something like that from one of the tumbling things. Like this is so high pressure. The Tour de France, you got 21 days to screw up and, like readdress. Gymnastics, you got 90 seconds for your life right there.
18 years of training. Whoops.
Yeah,
Right,
and your career's
exactly.
done right after that. You
Yeah,
you are ancient by the time you're 18 in that
Yeah,
sport.
if you're 22,
You're done.
You're
Yeah,
done.
you're over.
And the one and only Matt LeGrand.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I totally forgot that we were even doing intros.
Wait, we're still on
Wait, we're still doing
intros.
intros?
Yeah.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of the internet? You guys smell fantastic today.
I don't feel good.
It's the heat, man.
Especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest.
It is.
It is
Toasty hot.
It is
here.
warm here. This is.
It's
is
warm
it
in the office
warmer
here.
than it is Arizona?
Probably.
I'll tell you.
Yes, it is actually, and I can answer that because
Yeah.
we've got family who stayed with us.
There you go.
And they're visiting from Phoenix.
Yeah,
Phoenix is 106 today.
we beat Phoenix today.
Right now in Vancouver, it's 113.
Exactly.
My car said 114 on the way over.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh.
We were something like 8 or 9 degrees warmer than Phoenix yesterday here.
Yeah.
I think I saw 116. My wife said when she was in the car, she
my
saw
God.
117. All-time records. Crazy.
So much humidity
Crazy.
training.
All right, we got
Not
lots of
sure
stuff
if
to
team-
talk about today. Let's jump into the back pedal, run around the table here. Matt, you did all kinds of racing over the weekend. How was your racing, Matt?
I watched racing on TV when I watched the
is that what
tour.
that was?
That's
You and me
better.
both.
That's
Very
better than
similar.
actual racing and the trials. So much trials.
I actually did a lot of swimming. I swam in the Juniper
Nice.
Pool twice. Swam in the what's the river? The Deschutes River twice.
So Matt
Oh, yeah.
Matt
You were
LeGrand
at
is
Sun River.
famous. I'm gonna do Matt LeGrand's back pedal for him
Yeah,
because he
please
didn't get
do.
to watch himself.
Yeah,
So
please do.
in that Triathlon Life's YouTube videos, Eric Lagerstrom, Matt made an appearance. So did his children. Matt was fine. He was jumping in the water and swimming or whatever.
With
But
Nate.
more importantly, Dash launched. Or no, it was Ethan. Ethan launched a rock across a Cool Creek
Probably-
in slow motion.
Probably
in this
aiming
video.
at Dad. Probably aiming at
Prob-
his dad.
probably throwing it at
Get ya?
Matt. And it has already gotten thousands of views. So Matt is officially not the most famous person in his family now.
Yeah, that's not saying much.
No, it was a very low bar, but
But
Ethan has surpassed
still,
you.
yeah, I swam with Nate Ansbaugh and Eric Lagerstrom and Paula and a couple of other guys, Andy and another guy named Jesse, who works at the Specialized Wind Tunnel. He's super cool.
Is that Jesse
Wow.
Frank?
Yeah, I
Was
think
he
so.
a Colorado Tri guy?
I don't know, but he is.
He was
He said he
fast, I
qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, he was fast.
So he works at this. Yeah, I think it's Jesse Frank.
Mm-hmm.
He works at the Specialized Wind Tunnel, which is what a cool job that is, right? It's like the top wind tunnel for cycling in the entire world. And
Wow.
he gets wind tunnel time to do whatever he wants to. I think that's the way I think of it. But but yeah, so we were swimming, and everyone was faster than the two of us, and so I floated back with him, and he and I just chatted about whatever. He was doing the 5-day gravel grinder.
The Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder.
Yep. He was in town for that.
Wow.
Which was super cool because he's from California. And and so I visited Sun River with the family, and it was great. I only did a couple of rides while I was there, and I mostly kind of stuck close to Sun River. I didn't do anything too crazy. So back
Nice.
pedal, done. Racing, no, not so much.
Awesome. How about you, Evan? How was your week?
I mostly watched racing as well.
Did you take a recovery week?
No.
No.
As me and Matt were talking,
Foolish you.
Des Moines.
I only did 40
Des
hours
Moines
of
did not
training.
take anything physically out of me, considering it was probably a lower volume week than anything else and intensity. So I ramped back up this week. Felt good. Kept everything. I actually did try to get some actual heat training and real heat training, which on Saturday I was really regretting that decision because I was like, okay, I know the track's going to be hot on Saturday, so we're going to go do a tempo run on the track and try to simulate what it felt like in Des Moines, and it still felt bad. So
Yep.
running
Imagine
fast
that.
running fast on boiling tracks is not fun. But we did it again this morning, and I kept a bunch of young children alive by dousing them in ice water the entire time, and myself alive by just trying to not run as fast. So
There you go.
worked out pretty well, actually. Dave and Whisper Running are absolute champs. We were done by 9 a.m. Dave started his crew at 9 a.m. and it was hot by 9 a.m. on the track.
Did you do the track down by the
Hudson
college?
Bay? Yeah,
Bay College? Okay.
yeah. That's where me and Dave both do those workouts, and it's fun,
cool.
but it's warm. It was warm
Nice
today.
black track, right?
Very black. Very probably could have scrambled an egg on the track.
Toast.
Because it
by
was
like 9
probably
a.m.
It was probably 90 when you started.
Yeah, it got up to
It
like that
was-
95, 96.
It was probably about 100 when the Whisper Running
Probably.
group started.
Yeah. When we were, I did some 200s to end, and 200 was about as far as I wanted to go at that point with how warm it was. So, outside of that, I just caught up on the trials, which was so much fun to watch. We have a lot
Oh
of
my
fast
gosh.
young people in this country right now. When the Olympics come around, we'll just do like an Olympic session on here. There are so many really, really fast.
Did you watch the 1500?
Yes.
Men's 1500?
Cole Hawker.
He
Is
beat
fast.
Matt Sinchewitz, who was the gold medalist.
Wait,
in
I
the
didn't see the
Olympics.
final. Did
We're
he?
we're gonna blow it for you.
Please.
Cole Hawker won. He won.
And they've
What?
been smack talking on.
Yeah.
And he
Twitter.
beat Centrowitz,
He beat Centro.
Yeah.
who's the defending
Cole-
Olympic
Gold
champion.
Cole was
Yes.
blocked in, and Matt, you've watched a lot more track than I have over the year, but we've both watched a lot of
Wait,
track.
wait,
That's
is
the
this-
best move in a 1500 I've ever seen. He was boxed in and somehow got out. It
Is
was
this
amazing.
the 18-year-old?
No.
No.
That's
Oh.
Kessler.
Okay, yes.
Cody Kessler.
Did he make the team?
He didn't make the finals.
Oh,
But
he didn't make the finals.
He did take a pro
He was
contract
running
with
very well.
Adidas.
He was running very, very
He-
well.
yeah,
Okay,
I thought. Yeah, he did well. That would be the
But
dream
yeah.
team if he made like
And then
got third or something. At the trials.
UP has Woody Kincaid won the 10K and also made the Olympic team
yeah.
in the 5K. So
Both.
local guy from the Pacific Northwest. He's from Colorado originally, but college guy from here.
Yep. Trains with the Bowerman Group.
Yep, and is really fast at running on a
And
track.
also
Grant Fisher.
Grant
too.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those two.
Kara
people.
Winger, the javelin thrower from Vancouver, Washington.
Yes, I saw
Really?
that.
Went to Skyview
Yep.
High School. She made her fourth
There-
Olympic team.
There was
in
a
the javelin.
gymnast. There was a gymnast too from Vancouver. Oh my God, I just watched her last night. I forgot her name. I feel
really?
so bad. This is not a gymnast podcast, so I don't feel that bad. But we have 2 Olympians from Vancouver.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Look at that. Portland, what do you have? Huh? Probably quite a few actually, because
Yeah.
I think a lot from the track and field.
Pretty
but,
sure that
but
Bowerman Group.
but we're chasing them. So we're right there,
neck and neck.
neck and neck to Portland.
Yeah, that Bowerman Group's got like 30 Olympians right now.
We just need Dr. Handel now to make the cycling team, and there you go. We got number 3.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh, he's Portland. No, wait, we
Portland.
can't have him make that. Yeah,
No, wait.
Guy Van. We need Guy
thought-
Van to
we
make the
thought
team.
we thought we wanted Handel to make
No,
the team.
no. Handel. No,
but-
I'm cheering against you now.
Yeah, he was close too.
Let's go, Guy Van. Between those two, I'm sure USA Cycling is looking at both of them closely.
Very
so.
close. Yeah.
Lance Epler, you raced
What?
your bike last
Oh,
week.
is that what we're doing? Are we still backpedaling? was that
I don't
was
know.
the
This
Olympic
has
trials
been
all
the
fight of
Olympic
Evans backpedal?
Oh, we're not done talking about the Olympic trials. We just got started.
We just got started.
Evan only has a little bit of time here before he's got to go, so he's got to get in all of his zingers.
I did race my bike yesterday up at Mount Hood. I did the 6 hours of Mount Hood mountain bike event.
That's the name of the race. Did you really do 6 hours?
I did not because I did it with a teammate.
Okay.
Me and Sean Martin teamed up
Saw
together.
That looked really cool.
So the idea, it was
so
like a
cold out there?
6 mile right. It was like a 6 mile loop, and you could do it solo, like our own Paul First did, sitting across the room. What's he doing? He's
Paul, your
fixing
champ.
some bike. Paul, I think preliminarily Paul took 7th place in the
Wow.
in the men's open division.
Out of 37 people, that's a very solid finish.
So good for you, Paul. But me and Sean did the men's or the 2-person relay event, 80 plus division. So our combined ages were less than 80 years old, whatever.
Well, wouldn't it be more than 80 but
More
under
than-
100?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
more than 80.
confused.
Come on.
Math.
Come on.
Hard.
You're not
Dude,
40. I'm sorry.
I'm very disheveled today. I don't do well in the heat. I never have.
You look sunburned.
I am sunburned from the race.
Uh-huh.
My house is too hot. My AC doesn't work that good. I'm
I
sure
know.
you're
Oh
dealing
my
with
God,
the same
our AC
thing.
was dead. In my head, I was like, I think our AC can handle this. Our house was built in like 1920. Why would I think that the insulation in our house is going to be able to handle
not
this
gonna
heat?
Anyway, so Sean and I got out there and raced well. We did 10 laps between the two of us, and we ended up taking 2nd place in our division. So,
Congrats.
yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
So we were
I
happy.
bet you guys
to
had a
take
good
2nd.
time.
That's impressive in this heat for you not being good
Although
at riding in the heat.
you don't
either.
get to
That's
hang
good.
out with him
We
as
don't.
much.
We didn't get to hang out really. It was because we were swapping
Yep.
laps, but we had like 15 teammates all there racing. So we had a couple of tents up, and everybody had water and tables and food and drink, and there was shade, and it was hot up there. I think it got up to like 94 degrees or something
I
like
should
that.
have
at Mount
stopped. I
Hood.
just drove through
You
there. I
probably
should have
just
just
drove
stopped over and
Yeah.
just yelled at you.
So we had a great time. It was a really fun event for me and Sean to do. Sean doesn't have a whole lot of mountain bike racing experience.
Right. Yeah.
Read that, none.
Yeah.
He just started riding,
He
literally,
just started
within the past couple months off-road, yeah.
Just got a bike, right?
But he's very fit.
Yeah.
And so...
Yeah, I like his odds to figure it out pretty quick.
Yes.
He's been riding a little bit of cyclocross. He's got a gravel
Yeah.
bike, and he's
Yeah.
been doing all this stuff.
He's
but
been riding for a long time.
transitioning to
Yeah.
the mountain bike, and he's doing really well.
Yeah, he's doing well. So, well, we had a great time together. So it was a lot of fun. It hurt a lot.
Are you taking today off?
I already rode outside today.
You went in the morning? That was smart.
It was not really the morning. It was not.
It was 100 degrees when you started.
It was 114.
Yeah.
On my Wahoo. That's what it said as I was finishing, and I'm like, this is dumb.
It was. It was.
How far did you go?
Like 20 miles today.
Like
but
a two-bridge loop or something?
yeah, but the race, I think I did 6 laps, and I think it was like 34 miles and like 5,000 feet of climbing in those 34 miles.
It's a lot of climbing.
I actually felt good all day. I never really felt bad. My legs felt good. I didn't deal with. I think taking a half-hour break every
nice.
half hour was kind of nice to chill out and eat something and
It was like half hour on, half
rehydrate.
hour off?
Well, it was as long as it took you
Yeah,
to do a lap, and I was doing like 35-minute laps or 36-minute laps, and so was Sean doing about 36-minute
Ooh.
laps. Yeah, so he was out climbing me, and I was out descending him. That was about the difference between me and Sean. So he only crashed 4 times, I think. I didn't go down at all, which was
It's always good.
fortunate. So,
It's unusual for you.
but yeah. But I'm beat up. My wrists hurt, and my hands are all peeling because it just was.
Yeah, because you were sweating a ton, and then you
It's
just
hard
like,
on
what
you.
happens to your feet in the humidity? Yeah, that's.
They were swelling. My feet
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah, just from the swelling. But
This
anyway,
is why we live in the Pacific Northwest, not Arizona, though. So yeah,
it was a great event. It was, there was 150 racers there, something like that. So it was fun. It was
Cool.
good.
Good times.
That's it for me. I did some other riding, but whatever.
Jake, you got anything for us?
Nothing special, just some standard
Are you
week
still
for me.
biking every day?
Oh, yeah. I think what am I on, like 314 or
314
315 or something like that? Yeah. It's,
Are you biking inside? Like when it's this hot? Like what are you
yeah.
gonna
I'm.
do? What you gonna do?
Exactly. I was supposed to be doing some camping stuff with my son. We were supposed to be out riding mountain bikes, but we decided to punt on that because of the fact that it's just stupid, ridiculous hot outside.
Would not be fun.
And I could have gone and raced with Lance, but I passed on the whole thing. And I'm taking a little active recovery block.
yeah,
So
probably a good week to do it. When
Yep.
There's no point in racing
it's
in
been
this amount of
9
heat.
or 10 weeks, so I'm due.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then other than that, just racing vicariously through everybody in the Tour de France who's crashing their bikes all the time and making
I've
me not want to go race bikes.
me and David have been trading back and forth. I'm so behind on social media that now I find memes really funny, which I know have been around for a super long time. but now I'm finding them funny this year because I also learned how to post a story on Instagram for the first time. But David sends me a bunch now, and there are some hilarious Tour de France meme
Memes.
pages. One of my favorite ones recently was
Is it like a whole Instagram chain?
oh, it's just there's multiple.
just memes?
There's so
Okay.
one
Yeah.
of them is
send it my way.
UCI ban has completely eliminated Super Tuck related crashes at this year's Tour de France. Clearly, them banning people putting their forearms on the bars has completely eliminated crashing in the Tour de
it's changed
France
the
this
game.
year. It's a so much safer peloton now.
Stage 3 this morning. My goodness.
It was pretty crazy.
There
Did
were
you,
so many
Did you
important
see
crashes.
it yet, Matt?
Yep.
Everybody saw it,
Yep.
more or less.
So
I
many
mean, I
crashes.
didn't watch all.
Hey,
of
hey,
it.
hey, hey, hey. You want to do this?
Oh,
Okay, let's do this.
Champ here.
can we just say like spoiler alert or something? I don't know.
No,
No, because
because
this is coming out on
this is
Wednesday.
coming out on
If
Wednesday.
you haven't seen
It's
it by the
good
time
that we
this
don't
comes
have the
out.
live
If you're
stream
listening
going.
to us and I happen to be on here, I'm going to spoil everything and if I watch it a moment ago, I'm spoiling it.
Yeah, you're good at.
So yes, we had stage 3 this morning. So far, the best story so far was stage 2. Matthew Vanderpool pulling off the win and getting a gap at the end and winning the yellow jersey and his whole emotional he just emotionally crumbled in front of the cameras because it meant so much to him to win the yellow jersey for his grandfather.
Yep.
And his grandfather has won stages in the Tour de France, but never got the yellow jersey.
Correct.
So it was it was kind of cool.
Oh,
that,
even his dad has won a stage in the Tour de France and was supposed to wear the yellow jersey, but they screwed it up and they gave the win to somebody else. And it was hours later that they figured out that the timing or something was off, and then he was awarded the yellow jersey, but he didn't get to go stand up on the podium.
He did not. Correct. Yeah. So
Tough family.
very cool that all happened. Pretty exciting that Van der Poel's in the yellow jersey. Stage 3, bit of a mess. Tons of crashes, many big GC hopefuls. Geraint Thomas went down.
What happened to him? I didn't see that. crash.
Dislocated his shoulder.
He went down with 75 miles to go, crashed, dislocated his shoulder.
Reduced it, put it back in.
The doctor came up to him, popped it back in, and he jumped back on his bike and finished the stage. He went 4 more hours on a recently dislocated shoulder and finished the stage.
Mark Soler, after what was it, stage 1, rode the rest of the stage with 2 broken elbows.
2 broken elbows and is out. Yeah.
Decided not to start the next day, reasonably so.
But
Chris Froome broke his whole body, and he should never fracture, but his entire body was bruised.
The rumor is that Geraint Thomas is not going to start tomorrow.
We are one step closer to our master plan that Richie
He's not
Ford
gonna
will
start
be
now?
the leader of
Richie Ford.
videos at some point.
Carapaz still looking good.
Carapaz will be the guy.
Carapaz looks great, but
Richie's what, like 2 or 3 minutes out now or something like that?
Yeah, like
2
3
minutes
minutes
out.
back. Is he 2 minutes?
I think it's 2
yeah.
minutes.
2 minutes out.
He was caught behind a crash. It wasn't his fault.
Yeah. That's still doable.
The Geraint Thomas.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
Still, it's a long shot for him
Man's
to
experienced.
It also took out Robert Gesink from Team Jumbo Visma, like one of their major
guys.
Well, then you had Roglic go down hard, and the entire Jumbo Visma team come back and do a team time trial to only lose a minute 20.
Yeah. I saw him go down there, but did they show
weird. He hit the
how he
ground
went down?
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It looks like he hit the wheel in front of him or something.
Yeah, it was a tap
the
of wheels
only one
and he
that
went
went
straight
down.
onto his hip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't break some because they were moving quick. It was not a slow crash. So
He lost some time. So did Pogačar lost some time as well.
Pogačar crashed
also.
right at the 4K mark, which is ridiculous because it's
Yeah.
the
Oh, yeah,
3K
it's a
mark
turn.
where you don't lose time. And
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
That finish was just, come on.
The finish, so here's the issue with the finish. It was finishing on a very narrow,
Very
sketchy
technical.
road that the racers were not happy about the race organization and how they set it out, what they...
Did you see how fast Van der Poel was taking those turns? Like,
So
I was watching that, and I was having like a panic attack, 4 guys in the peloton with how, like, Matthew Van der Poel hit a corner, I'm pretty sure, going 40 miles an hour.
they were
that's-
going like 38.6.
But
Yeah,
how
it's-
awesome
Into a
is it?
corner.
He's
It's
wearing
amazing.
yellow. He's Matthew
he's
freaking Van der Poel,
incredible. Yeah.
and he's leading out Cavendish.
He's not
cool.
Cavendish.
or not Cavendish, but his. I'm sorry, the
Oh,
Merlier.
who's his-
Merlier.
yeah,
yeah,
Merlier,
yeah,
won.
yeah.
sorry,
The guy that won
Cavendish
the
was
stage.
sitting back there
Yeah.
on his wheel. But anyway,
Everybody was sitting back on his wheel.
And he
It's
wasn't even
impossible to
like
follow this guy's wheel.
He wasn't the last lead out. He was like he pulled off and there was one more guy.
I thought
So-
he was
yeah.
going to try and just win at some point. When he came around one of those corners, I'm like, he might just drop the field on that turn. I was like, he's just go for it right,
right,
now.
everybody off his wheel. Yeah,
So it was super exciting to watch. Other than Caleb Ewan and Peter Sagan tangled and both went down. Caleb Ewan broke his collarbone. He is out. He is pulled out.
Which means we can decide here that I was correct. He was going to win the green jersey. I think we can all agree
No.
with that. So Evan wins green jersey. Moving on to the next one. Okay, my podium's looking a little beat up right now, but
I had him picked to win the stage, and I had him to be my sprinter for the entire tour.
He was
him
looking
and
so good.
Peter, but yeah,
he was the quickest guy on the bike. Yeah.
and Peter came out of that unscathed, right?
Road rash.
Yeah.
It looks like unscathed, but
He was mad at Caleb. You could
I'm
tell.
sure he'll be sore tomorrow.
He was pretty mad at
he'll
Caleb.
be sore. But
Caleb hit the ground. That was one of the harder crashes you'll see. Like, he hit the ground and skidded a good, 30 yards,
That
40
pile
yards.
up on day 1 was like one of the nastiest crashes.
Oh, yeah.
When Chris Froome
can we talk
was-
about Sign Lady?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sign
that's
Lady.
That's the big thing. That's the story. It's
She
making national. I heard it on BBC.
I
was driving
understand
over here.
that there are people defenders saying like we should not go mob mentality after that. And one of my friends was joking with me. He's like, yeah, France and mobs has a really bad history. If you look at but you, how dumb are you? That is amazingly stupid. She's holding a sign that it's one
Facing
thing.
the wrong direction.
Yeah, it's like
Trying to get camera time.
So bag lady back in Lance Armstrong's day, not her fault. Bad place, bad time. Lance is swinging the bars back and forth. Not that it's Lance's fault, but it's just so inopportune. His handle catches onto her bag and rips him down. She was so apologetic about that and stayed and made sure, answered questions. Not her fault.
Yeah.
Sign lady holds what looked like roughly like a wood cardboard sign, like a very hard sign, like 6 feet into the road.
Yeah, she
This
wasn't. She
massive
wasn't
sign.
looking at the cyclist. She was looking at the cameras.
She's trying to get camera time for.
Yeah.
Hey, mom or grandpa and grandma, look
And
at
not
me.
only
Hi,
that-
grandpa and grandpa.
Grandma, yeah.
That's what
Tony
the
Martin is
sign
going
said.
30 miles an hour when he hits that. He hits the ground, and her response, instead of at least saying like, "Hey, Tony, are you alive right now? Are you okay?" She runs.
Yeah, she
Skips
fled.
town.
She flees. They had to.
actually-
The authorities had to track her down.
I don't think they,
They
found her
haven't
yet.
found her
No,
yet.
she's still in the wind.
Oh, I
dude.
thought that they did find her.
No.
No, the
Okay.
organization's going to sue her.
Well, no,
once
because
they-
we were looking at comments. So I know it's like comments is not like good news, but there were comments saying that they found her. So I don't know if that's. I have
There's
no idea what's
news
true.
that she has been found yet, and
Okay,
they're
okay,
looking
no
for
official
her
news,
still.
yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, you flee to a crime scene, right?
well, is that a crime?
Is it a crime?
That's so.
They're going to sue her. It's not a. I don't
I
think
don't
it's a
think
crime.
But here's the thing. So yeah, it's like
negligence.
it's negligence.
Yeah.
But you fled the scene of like something like that going
Inflicting
on.
harm on somebody. Yeah, I mean,
I think that could be twisted to a crime.
sort of.
I completely understand that you can't
Yeah.
charge her with assault. Like assault has to have intention to some but I mean that's negligence at least.
We'll let them sort that out.
I
was
mean,
bad.
I think it was a mistake. I don't. Think
Oh
that-
yeah, no, I'm not saying like the lady. I'm sure is not like a
She's-
ill-intentioned person with trying
she's
to hurt
probably
somebody.
smart to be hiding because there's a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh
And
yeah.
she's
Well,
just-
now that you ran,
If they
for
find
sure.
if they
Yeah.
find out what her name is, like, can you imagine?
she's
Like, what's
done.
her social media gonna look like? They're just gonna be full of death threats.
I'd
Yeah.
probably get off
Correct.
of Instagram if I was her.
Yeah, time to delete the old Instagram account.
Time to fold up Facebook. I think it's done.
Yeah, you're gonna want to let that go.
But at least her grandma and grandpa got to see her.
They're probably so
say
proud.
Hi. So proud.
Do you think her grandma and grandpa are like suing her too for defamation of character?
Oh, it all turned
Don't you hold that sign saying yes to us and then ruin Tony Martin?
It all turned out so bad. So
What else
was a
happened
bad
in the world of
crash.
sports? Or is there something else you guys want to talk about? in the tour?
Triathlon stuff.
Okay.
There's-
there was the Coeur d'Alene Ironman.
Yep.
If I am not the triathlete
Yes, you
guy,
are.
but I believe that Sam Long
Sam
took
Long
the
won.
victory,
He did.
Sam Long, what a guy!
and it was
That's-
hot. It was like 100
He's
degrees.
a big man too. He's
Yeah.
like 6'4", 175.
No, he is not.
Oh yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
Is he
no-
that
no
tall?
lie, He's
They
big.
call him the big unit.
I have
Or
stood
he
next
calls
to him.
himself
I am
that.
6 foot. He is much taller than me.
All the pictures I've seen him in, he
He's
looks like he's
big, dude.
5'7".
No.
He's
a
not.
big
Big guy.
dude.
Okay.
And I'm not making that up. I've stood next to him, and he is much taller than
And
I am.
Lionel
Yeah.
Sanders is stocky, but not as nearly.
Lionel
he's
Sanders
probably
is
like-
not a big human
He's
being.
probably
Yeah.
like 5.
Wow.
I don't know, 8.
Sam
5'9",
Long
no,
in
probably 5'10".
105-degree weather went out and won that race and set the course record.
Well,
As a big man.
I honestly think that Sam Long does really well at that like longer distance, which
He
doesn't
does.
make sense for
He
a guy
does.
his age. But
He's just set up for it. That guy knows how to turn it all off and just go really deep.
yeah,
Also, second place, Justin Metzler. Congratulations. That's
Right.
a breakout
that's a
performance.
big deal for him.
Fantastic.
Pedro Gomes in third.
Well, and
I've met Pedro. Super nice guy,
do
but
all of those
nobody
guys
would
gotta-
call
do-
him like.
Are they all going to Kona? All 3 of those?
I think so. I think they all 3 got a Kona slot.
That's a pretty big deal.
And then the women's field, Carrie Lester, kind of. I mean, not really out of nowhere. Like she's good, but.
yeah.
And then
wouldn't have guessed that one.
Lindsay Corbin getting back on the podium,
Third.
running an amazing marathon.
She went like almost 3 flat.
Yeah, like
302 or
I
something.
honestly thought Lindsay Corbin. I thought was like close to retirement. Now she's proven that
Close,
she's
or-
definitely
yeah.
still fast.
So that probably gets her to Kona too if she wants to
Yeah,
go.
good for her. I hope she does and just like hangs up right after that.
What
Just
happened
calls
with
it.
our teammate Joshua Monda?
Josh?
Had
Had a good day until it was not good.
Yeah.
And he was like, so there was about a 40, Jeremiah Romero was telling me there was about a 40% DNF rate in this race, which makes sense.
Too hot.
I mean, it got to like 106 degrees.
Yeah,
Did
during-
Jeremiah
Yeah.
do the race as well?
Yeah, and he finished it.
Okay.
Good.
Champ trucked through. And Josh was in great position coming off the bike. He was top 10 amateur overall. And then just like everybody else who had to do, just the cramps hit him. I actually think he was telling me the cramps were happening on the bike.
Yeah.
And then he was just still able to hold pace and stretch out enough. And then
How do those fast runners? How do they do that?
I have no idea.
How do they run in 100-degree heat?
Justin Metzler ran 2:47.
How do you run
no
that
idea.
fast?
No
That-
idea.
I don't understand.
Sometimes
I
it's just,
I don't. I tried in Des Moines to run what they were running, and I died. It's impossible.
I've had some of my best races in like that weather.
Yeah, but you're
which-
from Alabama. You're made
But
different.
I don't think so. I usually have some really bad races in hot weather.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of problems in high school with like the heat. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you just get lucky, or you get
Because
used to it, or
because
something.
106 degrees for an Ironman is
crazy.
almost just. I mean, come on, like
Yeah.
it's like.
But,
I mean, good for Josh trucking through
he
and
still
finishing that
went
because he got his
10
Kona slot. I think still.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah.
He still went 10:16 on a tough day.
Josh did.
Yeah, Josh did.
That's with walking part of the marathon,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or
Jo-
like a 4-hour marathon.
Josh has sub 9 in him. So does John
Yeah,
Bretonson.
absolutely.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
I've trained with both of them. They both have sub 9 in them. It's just, I mean, that day, John Bretonson had a great day. He was, I think, 6th overall amateur.
Wow.
I mean, just absolutely great. You know, and that was a guy who I just raced at Columbia River and goes out and over the Ironman distance, just he can put it together in the short course, and over the long course, he just sticks to his plan very well. Yeah.
Wow.
It was awesome to see.
Impressive.
Well,
it was fun.
Anything else?
Well, there's actually a couple other races to talk about.
Do it to it. Go quick.
I'm out. Triathlon and Tour de France. I'm
yes,
good.
you're good. We've lost.
Thanks, Evan.
Thanks, Evan. Evan's got to go to work. He's got a real job. Wait, does
got a real
anybody
job?
else have a real job? Matt, you kind of have a real job.
I don't know. I don't know what. I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing
What are you
anymore.
supposed to be doing? There was the Baker City Cycling Classic that also wrapped up this week. It was a stage road race, one of the few stage road races in the U.S. this year.
Yeah.
Because of that, it attracted a couple of big names.
Heavy hitters.
It was won by Gage Hecht, who you may recognize the name because he was the cyclocross national champion last year.
Oh.
Yeah, so he came out with a few teammates and ended up winning the overall there. The race consisted of like a 75-mile stage, 11-mile time trial, a crit, and then an 89-mile or an 85-mile stage with like 7,000 feet of climbing or something.
That was a brutal climb.
Yeah, pretty ugly climb. And I think third place was a local guy from Team Oregon. Make sure I get this right. Sean Hollenbach from Team Oregon got third. So good on them.
Nice work.
Yeah. Oh, second place, was Drake Duell. This is another kind of new name in cycling. We may have talked about him a little bit before because he is a Harvard rower.
Oh, yeah.
That in his off time, he was riding bikes, and he started.
I've seen a couple of rowers turn into cyclists.
Yeah, they just have these huge engines.
Yeah, they know how to train.
And he took second because he's actually in his off time from rowing, he started riding bikes, and then he started taking KOMs, and then he started taking KOMs from Phil Guyman, and then he was trying to take all these Malibu Canyon KOMs. He is legit.
Wow.
He's actually working for Zwift actually right now. He has like a full-time job with Zwift, and he was going, he's super smart from Harvard. Anyway, he's on his way probably to the World Tour.
Now, he did that time trial. Granted, it was only 11 miles.
11 miles.
But he held, what, 32.8
32.8 miles an hour.
Good
for the
Lord.
11 mile time trial.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. Our teammates did well. I think in the Masters 3-4-5 field, Mark Lochtef ended up third for the whole
Job,
thing.
Mark, on the podium.
Way to go. Jesse Whitaker won her category. Ian Gibson was third in the 60-plus
Job,
field.
Ian.
Good job, Ian. All our guys who raced the Masters 1, 2, 3 field, I think they ended up 10th or better, something or less, somewhere around there. They didn't have what they were hoping.
It was a rough race.
It was a rough race.
Yeah.
So Hanel did well in the time trial, and Surratt did well in the time trial, and Ian did well in his crit, but it was kind of they had a hard go.
Yeah.
So good for them on going out and do that. That's the race I decided not to do because it was going to be too hot, and
I think that's a good call.
I did this other race where I got to take a break every half an hour, which totally helped me.
Yep. Matt, do you know anything about that ultra that was done out there by the Bonneville?
Western States?
Yeah.
Western States Ultra?
So my wife went out there and supported one of her friends who did
Yeah.
that. She ran 62 miles
Oh,
on Saturday in that heat
where was it?
out by the Bonneville Dam.
Oh my gosh.
She's 62 miles. It was Katie Gorzaika. I don't know if you guys know her or not, but she's a local. But
Okay, so this is a different ultra than Western States is in California somewhere.
Oh, this one just happened here by the Bonneville Dam, kind of out heading towards the Bridge of the Gods. Anyway, that was kind of impressive too. The fact
Wow.
that
So it was a 100-kilometer race.
yeah, and that's the one. Well, I think it was a time period, and you could do as many laps. And her goal was to do 60 plus, or she wanted to do the 100K. There was other people that actually did 100 miles. There was one lady that did 100 miles faster than Katie did the 60.2 or 62 miles, whatever it is, which is just absolutely bonkers. My wife went out there and supported her, though, and actually ran with her from midnight until like 4:30 in the morning.
What?
Yeah. And that was after my wife did a half marathon that morning as well at like 7 o'clock in the morning. So
I slept great after that.
yeah, she got home at like 5:30 in the morning and slept. She actually slept more in that block of time that she did than I did the night before because I just couldn't sleep. And then she got home and woke me up, and then the tour was on. I'm like, screw it, just go watch the race.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
that's crazy.
I just wanted to say something because that is dumb and awesome at the same time. It's just not something that I would ever want to.
Ultras are weird.
Yeah.
Ultra running.
To each their own. Cool.
One other big race that happened, the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder, the 5-day stage race. It was won on the men's side by Peter Stetina.
Sounds about right.
So he managed to pull out the win over Eddie Anderson. Eddie Anderson is a young buck from Team Alpecin Phoenix. He is one of Matthew Vanderpool's teammates.
Wow.
And he wasn't over on the tour, and they let him come do this gravel grinder, and he did okay. Third place was Jeff Kabush, who's the outspoken gravel racer extraordinaire and mountain bike racer.
That event is getting some hitters that are showing up, and it's starting to get a little bit of panache about it. It's got a place on the gravel map, right?
It does. It's like gravel summer camp. It's like you go camp for a week and hang out with all your gravel buddies and race bikes and eat good food, and it's just super fun. I do believe that Chad Sperry invited a whole bunch of big names to the race to bring some notoriety to it, and it worked.
Yeah,
I think it absolutely worked.
He's building a great event.
Yes. On the women's side, it was won by Sarah Sturm, who has won the Belgian Waffle Ride in the past, and she is the cyclocross national champion in the single speed, where she raced in a pair of jorts, and she's super strong. Second place was Serena Gordon. Third place, no, that's not overall. Where's the women's overall? Oh, maybe, yeah. Third place was Flavia Oliveira, and then Rebecca Faringer was fourth. So.
Cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. I believe Champ is out.
See you, Champ. Thank you, sir.
Out.
All right, let's do our Patreon drawing real quick. Lance, I'll let you do the honors of shaking that thing up. I don't know if you or Matt wants to pull it out. It doesn't matter. We do a weekly Patreon drawing because that's just what we do because we got people that are giving us stuff all the time to put in there.
That's just what we do.
Winner, Sarah Gates.
Sarah Gates, congratulations. She's been on the podcast before.
She has?
Was she out there doing the gravel?
She was not at the gravel grinder, but I believe she's with Cycle Oregon, and Cycle Oregon is trying to gear up for their Thai Valley event, and so they're trying to get some notoriety for the Thai Valley event they're putting on.
Sarah, you can reach out to us and set up a time to come by and pick something out of the grab bag of goodies. If you yourself would like to be a supporter of the podcast, you can go to dialedpodcast.com, click on the Patreon link, and pick a Patreon that works best for you. Thank you to everybody again for supporting the podcast. Appreciate that. How about the topic for the day?
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Race anxiety.
This makes me nervous talking about this. Just the thought of it.
Just the thought of it.
How about some race anxiety, guys? Got the jits? The jitters?
That is a real thing.
It's totally real.
It is an absolutely real thing.
How many times do you go to the bathroom before a race?
4.
All
of
Actually,
the times. Go to the porta potty, get back in line in the porta potty, go back in, go back out to in the back of the line, repeat until your race starts.
I will say this. If I don't have 2 good bowel movements before a race, I do not feel right. My head does not feel right if I don't manage. and every time
I forgot to go.
Every time I go into the porta potty before a race and I have that first good bowel movement, I always raise my hands and I shake my fists in the air like, yes, it's going to be a good day.
Lord.
Your wife must be so proud of you.
And nobody knows that. I don't know why I just told you guys that. But I have my own little victory poo.
Yeah. Victory.
Even though there's no victory, it's like the race hasn't even started yet. But it puts my head right.
Do you still get pre-race anxiety, jitters? I mean, there's a bit of a difference between the jitters and full-on anxiety. Do you get any of that though before any races?
Yes, absolutely.
Is
I still do. I've raced 20 times this year already, so I've raced a whole lot, and it's lessened the more races you get. But I always feel nervous and wrong, and I'd be worried if I lined up on a race and I didn't feel that way.
Yeah, I think it would drive me absolutely crazy to be a triathlete because you guys don't do as many events a year, so you don't get the ability to kind of smooth that out and like, oh, this is just another race. You put so much time, energy, and effort into building for a race, and you go out there, it's just like you're nervous because you haven't done it in a while, and this is your one chance.
Well, and some people will literally race like 2 triathlons per season
for the whole year.
They'll just do, and it'll just be like the big Ironman race, and then maybe they'll do another big race, and that's it. Whereas like my thought process was always like, I need to do some of these small, I call them smaller races, but they're, it's like, no offense. I mean, we had our Y Racing friends on the podcast 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'll do some of those races to help the process of like, this is the setup that I'll need. This is the process of setting up all these things, like all the little details that helps you keep calm, and get into that race atmosphere. It's part of it. I call it racing myself into shape, but part of it is getting the setup, getting all the anxiety stuff in check. And I think I've done that for every Ironman that I've done. It works. I would continue to do that, and I would encourage other people to do that. Find some small races if you have them available. A lot of people in the country don't have like a local triathlon organization to do stuff. They have to travel to races. So it's not easy. But if you can do some, we'll call them, like on the cycling world, we'll call them like B races or something like that. You might call it, or C races even.
Yep.
Do some of those races that you don't care about because you won't be quite as nervous.
Is there one thing that I know it's a culmination of a lot of different things, but is there like one primary thing that really kind of causes you to have the most stress and anxiety and jitters? Sometimes it's people's like failure to perform. Like you have such high expectations for yourself and the fear of not being able to perform at your utmost level. Or there's always the fear of going out there and having to suffer if it's a long race and having to sit on that threshold. Or it could be the fear of crashing. I mean, there's a multitude of things. Is there like one thing or something that you kind of put your finger on that really kind of drives you crazy the most?
For me, lining up like on a road race, my biggest fear is that there's going to be a crash where I'm going to be injured.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't worry about that because there's going to be a crash where I'm going to get injured. It's going to happen at some point, and you try to do what you can to avoid that. But I don't know. What about you, Jake?
It's changed a lot over the years. If you had asked me this question 3 or 4 years ago, it was probably the fear of not being able to perform at the level and just like you set certain expectations for where you should finish. Like if you don't land on the podium or you don't win, you feel like you're not a lesser person, but you're just not accomplishing what you set out to accomplish.
Right.
And if you have certain levels of success, you don't want to lose that. You don't want that to slip away from your grasp. And sometimes that's hard for people when you're moving up, but then you get to move up and race with stronger people that are ultimately going to make you faster. So there is that. But fast forwarding to now, there's a big fear of getting hurt. I'm so sick and tired of always hurting. And it's been, a lot of years now of me kind of just dealing with stuff. And I'm not perfect by any means at all now, but in the same breath, it's like I don't want to go backwards at all because I don't want to dip back into the pools of pain. Those were not fun days at all for me. So there's that anxiety there. And then you just add to that just the jitters in general. I mean, you kind of get those and I don't know, those are kind of fun. And going back to what Matt said, it's good to go do those smaller races to kind of get those out of your blood. But I don't know if I've done a race in, gosh, it's coming up on 2 years now.
I think a couple years.
The last race I did was the short track race before I cut my hand open before the final. So I didn't get to do that the very last one. We're getting close to that time, and I haven't raced since. I don't know. It's just, it's kind of, there's that big like pause in time of not racing. So you kind of get a little bit nervous about that. I don't know. I think that this topic is kind of timely. I figured maybe if we talked about this, it would help me through this. And I'm still trying to figure out if I even should be out racing. But there's level of anxiety, and I had major anxiety because I was almost going to go do that race with you. Because of the fact that I knew it was going to be hot and I wasn't going to be doing this camping stuff with my son. I'm like, I could go do that. But then there was that level of I don't know if I should go do a mountain bike race. What if I crash? What if I hurt my shoulder? What if I get into a bad way and then I'm screwed for the entire summer? Maybe I have to go back and have surgery again. That all races through your head. So it's kind of a little bit makes you a little bit of a nervous wreck.
You kind of have to tear the Band-Aid off at some point.
Yeah. That's kind of what our flogging rides were for me, though.
Yes.
That's true.
So go out there and mix it up and race and
Which
see.
I got dropped on this last week. Thank
Okay,
you.
but when you're in the thick of it and you're in the flogging ride where you're going hard, you're not nervous anymore.
No.
Right? Because you're racing.
Yeah, and still
Same once the starting gun goes off when you're in a race.
But it's
you'll
just
be racing.
getting to that point.
Yep.
For me, it's
making a decision to sign up for a race.
Exactly. For me, it's stuff that will start days before a race. It's not the morning of. It's just not I woke up this morning and I'm a little bit jittery. I'll seriously, my wife will tell you this too. I start getting cranky. I start losing sleep. I start feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I'm a little bit stressed. I get distracted easily. And you start to hyperfixate on things and just everything starts to kind of fall apart. And it doesn't, it's not a terrible thing for me. I can keep all of that under control. It's not like I turn into this monster, not a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of situation, but those are all real things that start to happen.
Right.
And I deal with them all the time. So
this is a pretty common thing. I think everybody goes through this type of pre-race issues.
I think that there's it's almost two different pieces where it's pre-race anxiety, and then there's PTSD, which is
a little bit of that,
where you're I can't handle a crash.
Yeah.
Right. The pre-race anxiety, I almost more associate that with I don't, I'm expected to perform a certain way. I'm going into this race. I'm nervous because I want to do well in this race.
Sure.
And I think that translates to running races, triathlon races, cycling races.
Yes.
You have that same concept. Whereas the whole I'm scared of getting hurt is, I think, very different. I think that that's very real, and that's what I experience too when racing cycling races, which I don't do very often. But that's one of the reasons I don't do it very often is because what's the point if I go get into a situation where you don't have control and a group goes down in front of you? That is very scary, right? When you have control of a situation and there's a certain amount of, you feel you have some control of the situation. There's less anxiety there. Whereas if some lady holds a sign out in front of the pack and then 3 people in front of you go down, and you're going down,
you're going down.
There's just no control over that. Yeah. That's definitely anxiety inducing, and it's just in a very different way than I think the pre-race jitters is. So
that's a good point.
I think they're different.
Yep. Would you guys then say that the anxiety obviously is worse than the jitters, and the jitters are probably a little bit easier to smooth out? Do you guys want to go through exactly what race anxiety is? I got a list of things here.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So the first one would be just you're overexcited about the race and you feel scared before you start. So
that happens every time for me.
You feel physically sick to your stomach.
That happens at the beginning of the year for me.
And you go in there and you poop yourself in the outhouse.
Yeah, I poop myself out, and then I feel better.
There you go. You have excess internal chatter, and you can't think clearly or calmly.
I second guess equipment choices all the time.
Yeah.
Do I have the right tires? Do I have the
right tire pressure?
Am I on the right mountain bike? Yeah. Did I put the wrong tires on my mountain bike?
I don't necessarily have that. Necessarily, I usually am all right, I've done all my training. I know my equipment pretty well, and I know what it's capable of. I guess sometimes, though, depending upon what kind of race, if you're going to jump up into a different category and you don't know how those guys are, then for me, I might start to second guess some of my equipment choices. But I think for the most part, I'm pretty good on that front.
Yeah.
All right. You are worried about what you might encounter during the race. We talked about that. You feel physical symptoms such as increased heart rate, but worry that you are anxious or uptight. But you worry that you're anxious or uptight. So you're worried about that the fact that your heart rate is elevated kind of is causes this cycle
your
of
heart rate to go up
even higher, and next thing you know, you're panic attacks.
Then you're worried about that.
Exactly.
I'll say that sitting on a start line, dead still, not moving at all, and my heart rate is like 135.
That's crazy, huh?
Wow.
Yeah, just because I'm nervous and I'm ready to go, and my heart rate will.
The
check.
worst thing they could do is hold you on the starting line for a long period of
That's
time.
right. I'm like, come
if
on.
you want to beat Lance, that's what we're gonna do, guys. We'll
Just hold us
him
there.
there for about 50 minutes.
Yeah, then
He'll
I'm in
poop
trouble.
out. He'll poop out.
I'll poop out again.
I'm using poop out on purpose.
Do you have it though, seriously, where you're like, even like the day before a race, you find yourself like almost daydreaming about the race, and then just the thought of like going
Yeah.
through all the stages, and then
Heart rate
you
goes
notice
up.
that your heart rate's all like up, and you're like vasodilated, and your eyes are probably, your pupils are dilated, and you
Yeah.
feel your heart palpating. It's like, do you guys get that?
I do get that. It's worse for me though on a race where I have performed poorly.
Yeah.
I'm like rerunning the race over in my mind, and I don't sleep very well.
Mount Tabor, most recent one.
Yes, that's a good point, because Mount Tabor, I went in and I'm in this 50+ race hoping to help out some teammates, and I got dropped in like literally 4.5 minutes. I got
Yeah.
dropped.
Short race.
Yeah.
How about feeling anxious or tight well into the start of a race, or maybe even the entire event? Do you guys ever have that? That's not generally my MO, but
No, as soon as the gun goes off,
You usually feel better.
Yeah, for me, I feel better. It's like, okay, it's just whose wheel do I follow? When do I try to go? Can I go with that guy?
yeah.
Can I not? I guess race tactics take over on my head.
Gotcha. How about feeling drained or exhausted before the competition even starts?
Sometimes also, if you taper, you feel like crap.
True.
But yeah, it can be pretty exhausting. I think that we've probably all raced enough that you kind of ignore that kind of feeling. You're just like, meh, I'll be fine once the gun gets going, you get rolling.
Yep. And then we'll compare that to like the pre-race jitters, just real quick, just so that there's a little comparison contrast. And I think you can see that the pre-race jitters are definitely a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more shallow in terms of like how much they can actually affect you. You're just feeling excited to get the race started. You're feeling up and alert, like physically. You think clearly about what you want to accomplish, but you're still kind of feeling a little bit like revved up. You're ready to tackle any challenge that comes your way. You feel your heart beating harder, but you think it's natural and helpful, which is a good thing. When you start the race, you feel relaxed and you kind of get into the flow of how you're feeling. And you have energy to keep going until the end of the race. So, like, the jitters are almost like a little bit of that pre-race fuel, almost, that you're
A little
kind
bit amp up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas anxiety is like, it's a much deeper,
It's
much
much
more
deeper.
psychological thing. So
I think loose bowels should be on pre-race jitter list.
It should. Why wouldn't I?
I'm seeing a podcast thumbnail here. So, how do you guys deal with these things? What are your go-tos?
The first thing, warm up properly.
100%, yes.
Yes. if
Those
you-
couple leg openers, not only are they going to
Yep.
open you up physiologically speaking, I think they're going to that little hit of adrenaline in there is going to help calm your nerves a little bit, and kind of get you like in the zone.
So usually 45 minutes before the race start, I will take about 20 or 25 minutes, and I will
Poop.
Well, that will have happened already. That happens like an hour and a half before and an hour before. And then at 45 minutes, I can start warming up.
Oh, jeez.
But I'll spin around for 15, 20,
Feel better.
25 minutes. And then near the end of that spin around, I'll do 2 like hard sprints, like to just like openers, just make sure my legs feel good. And I make sure I'm done with that a good 10 or 15 minutes before the start actually happens, so that I can
So that you don't feel rushed.
so that I don't feel rushed.
Because that is extremely, and this is my recommendation would be like, don't show up to your race late if you can help it. It's worth giving yourself, err on the side of being extra early, because
Yeah.
adding that like rush around, we've all been there. We've all shown up late. There's all kinds of reasons why it can happen, but we've all shown up to a race late and been like anxiously racing around trying to get everything set up and get, ready for everything that you need to have ready. It's not fun. It does not help your
It doesn't help calm your
initial
nerves
anxiety.
at all. No.
Yeah.
If you're late. Plus, you kind of want to be near the front of your race corral. It makes a difference in mountain bike races, cyclocross
Oh, yeah.
races, road racing, not so much. But anything off road, you
Or swimming for triathlon.
Yeah.
It's nice to kind of be towards the front.
Yes.
You don't want to be in the back.
so you're not swimming over the top
people.
of smaller, slower people. So, yeah. So I try to finish all that warm up stuff a good 15 minutes so that I can roll to the start line 10 to 15 minutes before it starts, so I know I can get in the right spot for the start, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
So that's one thing that definitely helps. The other thing that helps reduce my pre-race anxiety is having a checklist that I go over the day before the race, that I make sure I have everything.
Yep.
Your bike, your chain, your batteries are charged, your computer is charged, and it has the course downloaded on it if you're going to be following a course. You have your nutrition set up. You have your bottles filled or set aside. You make sure you have your right shoes, the right cleats. Make a checklist so that you have everything I'm going to need for a race. It's easier for me now because all that stuff stays in my van, and I just drive the van to the race. But it's good to have a checklist so that you don't forget something, because we've all been to a race where you showed up and you
Forgot your
Helmet.
Helmet. You're not racing, buddy.
no.
Done that before too. Yep.
Yeah. Another thing that helps is knowing the course and having kind of like, some people will do, race course recon and ride the course or whatever. But knowing what you're getting into just helps so much, right? Where it's like,
Yes.
you're, that's going to help you choose your tires. It's going to help you choose all the, certain things that you want to choose for sure. But it's also just like knowing what to expect going into that kind of race mentality where you're like, okay, it's going to start this way, and then I can tell you right when it's going to settle down, and then it's like, remember to hit this section hard because, the trail narrows, and it's going to be tight through there, and just knowing all that stuff is so much nicer.
And if you can't get
than
there,
not
there's
knowing.
so much technology that
Yep,
will give
it's true.
you that
Some idea.
Exactly. Like, so Lance went up and did the 6 hours of Mount Hood this past weekend, and just out of curiosity, he was here and it said, hey, Google like the 6 hours of Mount Hood, see if you can find the course so that you can see what it looks like. And sure enough, there was a video that somebody had posted of the entire lap, and you got to watch the whole
I
thing.
watched the whole YouTube video on
Probably
laps.
made your-
Thanks, Seth Patla.
Yeah.
Probably made your first lap feel a little bit more
Well,
comfortable.
A little bit more familiar.
A
Not
little bit more familiar, but I also went up the night before and I rode a lap.
Here you go.
cheater. And then you've got the likes of like Strava or Ride with GPS, and a lot of times the promoter will provide you with the GPS of the course, so you can upload it. Yeah, but you can also go in there and start looking at the elevation gains and the gradients and how long it is. And
Did you use your 530 in the whatever it's like the hill splitter stuff?
Oh,
Not
the,
hill splitter.
Climb Pro?
Climb Pro.
Climb Pro. I did not, because
You used your Wahoo.
I used my Wahoo because for my race the weekend before the best of both, I did a 3-stage race on 3 different bikes, and I wanted to be able to swap my computer between all 3 bikes. So I put Wahoo mounts on all my bikes.
Oh yeah.
So I just never
wasn't on the list to change that out, huh?
It wasn't that. No, it didn't make it. Yeah, so I didn't use the Climb Pro for this race.
I don't know if it would have helped.
Well, that's why
Once you've ridden it once.
That's why I went and rode a lap
Yeah.
the night before, because I wanted to see where are these hard spots, and I wanted to be able to call my teammate Sean and say, okay, this is what to expect. This is where the nasty downhill section is, where you need to be careful. This is where the switchbacky climb is. And so I could give him all the trail beta before, because he wasn't going to have a chance to pre-ride it.
Right.
So,
Do you guys generally put pretty high expectations on yourself, or are you guys able to kind of talk yourself off of that and maybe just try and go out and ride more for fun?
oh my gosh, not me. I put so much pressure on myself to perform.
Yeah.
I cannot line up at a race and just do it for fun. Unless I'm working for teammates.
Yeah.
It is really difficult for me to turn it off.
Yeah.
Does
And
that
that's
make
only-
sense?
Yeah, only certain disciplines that you have that opportunity. Like in mountain bike racing, you're not really working for team. There might be some camaraderie and there's some teamsmanship, if you will, but for the most part, it's kind of like an every man for himself kind of thing, right?
Yes.
So you can't turn that off. And the same thing with cyclocross. You're not going out there and
it's really hard to pace somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're kind of always on then.
You're kind of always on. Yeah. But road biking, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a different one. And
Teammate
I think
thing is
that's
a whole
a
different thing.
that's a nice discipline to be able to get into, because you can go out there and like you can pour yourself into it for somebody else's victory, and you can share in that because you help them get there.
Yes,
because it's such a team sport. So I don't know. That's a discipline that I like a lot for that very reason right there. But
I think that there's always a way to find a race and say, like, this, I'm going to do this race for fun, and here are the things that I want to work on. And if you have that mentality going into it, where, like, yeah, you can say, like, I want to work for a teammate, but you can also do other things like, you know, the one thing I want to do is work on technical descending on my mountain bike, right? Where it's like, it relieves a lot of stress when you just say, I'm not going for the win today. I just want to work on whatever, XYZ, right? And I think that mantra, you know, if you're kind of repeating that in your head as your like starting line or whatever you are, it takes a lot of the anxiety away, you know, and there's always a way to do that, you know, until you get to that A race, which we should be nervous about.
Right.
So that's part of it.
yeah, I think doing races too for me with friends in general, just having other people there,
helps.
so it lightens the mood. It kind of makes things a little bit more fun. I mean, I think we're just really spoiled. We've got such a great team of people. And when we show up, we've got usually pretty decent numbers of people there. Everybody's usually pretty good friends with each other. And there's just so much that you can lean on there that makes the experience more fun, especially when we're out there racing together. Like short track, I'm totally missing that this year, you know, because
it didn't happen
2 years in a row now. I'm not getting that. But being out there with you and kind of like poking each other a little bit, like almost having fun, but like saying, hey, get up there, go get that guy, or let's, you know, that kind of stuff right there. You forget about the fact that your heart rate is redline. You forget about the fact that your power is going through the roof and you're turning yourself inside out. You're trying to breathe. You're out there having fun with your friends, and that takes a lot of that edge off. Even though when we're sitting in the chute, everybody's got their poker face on and their heart rate's elevated, and you're waiting for them to blow the whistle and you're about ready to explode with anxiety there. You know, once that whistle blows, everything changes and you just have fun.
Right.
So,
you know, every time I pass a teammate, like at these mountain bike races, because I've had a lot of teammates that have been out there, I always yell, jump on my wheel, get on me.
Yeah.
And sometimes they hang for a while, and sometimes they hang for quite a ways, you know, but it's, I always try to encourage my teammates, and then I try to crash out everybody else.
And final bit on this, do you guys go through any like self-talk, any kind of like relaxation or calming mechanisms, or talk to yourself any way, shape, or form? Or you just kind of let it run its course before they blow the whistle, and then, you know, just deal with it?
I have definite arousal control issues.
Lance Romance has arousal.
I have start line, starting lap arousal control issues. I tend to go out way too hot. I do it
every time.
I do it every time, and I try not to, but I
would say that there are some people that think that that's okay, because you have all that anxious energy that's wasted anyway. You might as well at least go for 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think either way that energy's gone, whether you try to chill out, which is not going to work.
Right.
Or I think you may just have to come to grips with that first minute. After that, you might work on like trying to self-talk yourself into like finding a pace or finding a groove.
Let's chill here a little bit, yeah.
But I think that is okay. I think you should continue to do what you're doing. Meh.
Yeah. So for me, like usually what I'll try and do is just I have to recognize what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it. And I have to use that for other things too. Because I mean, still to this day, there's times where I'm like, I don't want to go out and ride on the road because PTSD is fun.
Yep.
Just have to understand what you're feeling. And once you get out there and you start the actual pedaling exercise or start a race, it just kind of subdues and goes away and you're fine. So there's that. And then breathing, like just taking some deep breaths and like just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, that will sometimes help. Think about your training and all of the training that you've done, and kind of lean on that a little bit and know that you're capable of doing what you're doing. And you know, you're not going to always beat everybody. That's okay.
Right.
You know, not everybody's the fill in the blank speedster guy that's going to go out there and blow up the world. You know, people say to have like positive words of encouragement for yourself. I've never really kind of been that type of person. Like, you're great, you're going to do awesome. I'm not that. But
that's running through my head all day long.
Yeah.
Why would I even need to
why do I need more?
anything?
Yeah, but visualizing like maybe some past success and visualizing having a good strong race for me, that's my self-positive talk that will help me go out there and have a good race. And if you don't do well, then, you know, at the end of the day, there's always another bike race that can come up, and you can train a little harder and get a little faster. Just have to remember those things. So that was kind of my takeaway from this, and what I constantly have to remind myself of. Is there anything else that you guys want to share on this topic?
Just know that everybody goes through it. Everybody has that pre-race anxiety, and jitters are very common. I think everybody has jitters. When you cross over to the anxiety realm, just know that most everybody's doing that too. Most everybody is dealing with a little bit of anxiety.
You're definitely not
normal.
alone.
Yeah, those jitters can be a good thing too. You can harness those.
Yeah.
It's when it gets into the anxiety stuff, when it becomes not clinical, but you know what I mean? You're really starting to deal with stuff that's taking away your ability to sleep. Because the anxiety stuff, it's not going to be just the morning of. This is going to be like days, weeks, or even months before that. Like, Matt, I can't imagine what you go through trying to build for a full Ironman.
You know what's weird is high school and collegiate racing was so much harder. As far as, because you're
so much more pressure.
So much more pressure. Yeah. I mean, like, if you win a state championship or whatever, like, all eyes on you to win the next one.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's like those, and you're a high school kid. Like, you're just like, I'm going to flip out and, you know, like, just get sick into your stomach and all the things, and you can take yourself out of the race really quickly.
Yes.
And then by the time you're 40, then you're just like, whatever. I mean, it's just not a big deal, right? Like, an Ironman race, like, what I will remind myself when I start an Ironman race that I really like my little, you know, calming mechanism or whatever is I get to go swim all day and bike all day and then run all day. Like, these are all things I like to do. And like, I tell myself for that, you know, repeat that kind of stuff. Like, basically the first, I don't know, half mile of the swim, you know, and then you're like, that's nothing to be nervous about.
Right.
I'm nervous getting into the water and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, once, you know, you're in this crowd of some people panic in the water all the time. And I think you just got to be like, hey, good weather today, whatever, you know, positive statements. They're not necessarily like, I'm great, look at me, but it's like, oh, I get to do all the stuff I like to do.
Yes,
and I think that's like, it is a positive statement. It's just not like necessarily self-directed positivism. That's not a word. I just made it up.
Whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's like those sort of things where you're like, oh, this is awesome. I get to do this. Look at, you know, the weather. After this, I get to go bike for, you know, 6 hours. Like, it's just like, you have to remind yourself that you're doing this because you enjoy it. And that helps a lot.
That's a good point.
Just takes the edge off for sure.
For sure.
So,
Works to live by.
If you're racing, right, that'll work for you for sure. You're like, look at this mountain bike course. I guarantee you should try it in your next race. Just like at some point in the first 3 miles of the race, just say to yourself, look at this course.
This is beautiful.
And you,
look
I
at this
promise
place
you will smile and you'll race better. And that's a big thing for me is like, I want to race as best as I possibly can.
Right.
And for me to do that, I need to have the right mindset. And the kind of positive whatever vibe works for me. Might not work for everyone. Maybe if you like, you have a whole bunch of like self-hate on yourself and you just happen to perform better that way, whatever, that's great. That's your thing. But for me, it's like, I need to be in the right mindset. And that is like fairly positive, you know? So
the first year I did Rebecca's Private Idaho stage race, where it was...
You were on the podcast back then.
So I think so, yeah. I was doing the 100-mile race, and for 80 miles of that, I stared at the tire in front of me.
Yeah.
I literally was just hanging on to this group because we were moving so much faster together. I remember finishing the race and having some kind of interaction with Rebecca, who she said, "Didn't you think the course was beautiful?" And I'm like, I don't think I lifted my head one time during the whole stupid race. I was watching the wheel in my computer, you know?
Sometimes I think that's a good thing, right? Where you're just like, man, like you were telling yourself, like, this group is moving really well.
Yes, I was. I'm like,
that's
this
positive.
Group,
that's a positive statement.
I need to stay with them as long as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I did go through that. But, yeah, when I went back out and rode part of the course on my own, I'm like, oh, my gosh.
It's amazing.
This is amazing out here. Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those moments during a race where things are maybe getting dicey or things are getting hard, or you're just like, you're thinking about maybe throwing in the towel, or maybe you have to go hard for a long period of time? Like, what do you tell yourself during that moment? Just out of curiosity. I've got somebody that I wanted to allude to here.
This happened to me at the Shasta Gravel Hugger, where I was at the pointy end of the field and I got dropped twice. And I just told myself, well, F that. At least I'm going to finish this race. And so I just kind of kept pushing with the measly watts I could manage at that point. I ended up winning the race because everybody else took a wrong turn, which was just total dumb luck that happened. But I guess I take the route of, well, this is over. You're not racing anymore. You're just finishing this ride.
I can't keep up with it anymore, but I've always asked myself, what would Handel do?
What would Handel do?
Chris
That's a good
Handel
point.
is like, he's always got a smile on his face,
And
he's always positive, and he's a monster on the bike, and he does crazy things that half of them I would never want to try. But I've been in a couple situations where you're going to get popped. What would Handel do? Or you've got to go off the front. You got to hold something for a long period of time. What would Handel do? Or you got to do a time trial and you got to hold a certain amount of watts. What would Handel do?
I had the complete opposite reaction that Handel does. Where Handel just puts his head down and completely suffers. I'm like throwing the parachute out.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember one race that I did a few years ago, the Barton Park, the circuit race. And I went off the front like a quarter of the way into the first lap, and I held it for the entire race. It's like 45 or 48 miles. And I wasn't supposed to be out there, and we were supposed to do some other stuff, but I just kept going and kept my head down and just kept going hard. And I asked myself, like jokingly, I kind of chuckled a few times. I'm sure I've told him this before, but I asked myself, what would Handel do? And Handel would just keep going hard.
Yeah, put your head down and go
Handel
hard.
don't give up.
What Handel would do. Yeah.
So anyway, thank you, Chris Handel. We love you. So anyway, anything else?
Just know that everybody suffers from it. Everybody has a little bit of it, and a little bit of positive self-talk and a nice visit to that porta potty will solve a lot of things.
Yep. That's it. Take those two things.
Positive self-talk.
You don't need anything
nice
else.
bowel movement. Those two things will solve.
If you take anything from this podcast,
Yeah. Take a deep breath, look around, and remember that you're getting to go play bikes or you're getting to go do triathlon stuff and just have fun with it. So it's all good. Cool. Let's move on. Let's do one last thing. Matt, you want to do one last thing?
Oh, you know what I did last week for my video, because I was traveling and I was doing vacation. I did a smaller, quicker video, and it was my tour pics. And
saw
people
that.
can go hop on there and they can check out my tour pics that I have, and they can comment on the video with their own podium tour pics. And whatever they happen to mention, they will probably be better than my tour pics, in which case I will send them a free sticker, which is my standard swim, bike, run, rinse, repeat sticker.
Nice.
Super fun. You guys should definitely hop on it.
Matt, didn't you call on our podcast that Roglic was going to crash out?
Okay, so...
He didn't crash out yet, but he did lose some time.
He crashed and lost some time today.
Not crashed out, though. He's still in it.
David Goodman was the one that really mentioned that, if you remember correctly. He was like, Roglic is going to crash out.
Oh, okay.
But then I basically took that and ran with it with my picks. I was just like, okay, if that
to
happens,
base it all around
then like Wout van Aert could potentially be green. Like there's a lot of things that can happen if they don't have their guy to protect.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Interesting.
It's still my picks look pretty good compared to your guys' picks.
Not too far behind you.
Yeah.
Got to
But
get
then-
Lance in the league somehow, though.
Then on the on our online picks or whatever, I've got different stuff selected. Like I have Matthew Vanderpool for stuff, and that's collecting points. And then I think you can like trade people out. I don't know how it works. I have to ask Evan how it works.
You can
'cause he's
release
our tech
somebody,
guy.
but you lose 50 of your points.
Okay.
So it costs you 50 of your total cumulative points,
trade
which
out.
has you in second
I think
place.
that's a strategy. I think what you
There
think
is.
like Julien Alaphilippe is one of my guys that I have picked. I don't think he's going to be strong in the third week, but I'm going to swap him out. That's a top secret thing. Don't tell
It's a
anyone.
top secret thing that everybody knows now.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Julien Alaphilippe, everyone. Actually, there's a lot of people that like responded to my YouTube video, and they're like, "He's the guy this year. He's the guy." I just don't think he's gonna have that third week. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Could be interesting.
It'd be fun to watch him race. He's a fun
Still in
race.
green today, too.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
still in
And he's
green.
not too far off GC still, I think. Or
I'm
is
sure
he-
He's
in
still
the
8
mix.
seconds. Yep.
Yeah.
He's still 8 seconds behind Vanderpool,
he's usually pretty
who
strong.
is not planning on finishing the tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, they all have to get ready for the Olympics.
Well, mostly Vanderpool, because he's not doing the road race. He's doing mountain biking.
You can do all the
He can
biking.
do whatever the crap he wants.
He's so good.
The Olympics start just after the tour finishes, though, correct?
Probably like a week break in there.
Yeah,
Something like that, I
It's
think
not
so.
long. Yeah. So
Crazy.
be
Hey, Lance, one last thing.
I got nothing.
Nothing. Aren't you leaving soon?
I
Where are
might-
you going?
I'm going to Florida.
Oh yeah, you look like you're ready for Florida, according to Evan.
Why do I look like I'm ready for Florida?
Scruffy face,
white
hair's
Bermuda pants
messed
on,
up.
Hawaiian
You got
shirt.
You got
Little
your
sunburned.
little sun right there. You're ready,
Sunburned.
dude.
I'm ready.
You don't have your stash anymore.
Stash is gone. I feel naked.
What's going on in Florida? Why on earth would you go to Florida? Because it's colder there than it is here?
It's a small world.
We're going to Disney World.
Oh, okay.
And
that's
my Brandy's brother lives in Florida. We're going to visit him and his family. They live in Fort Lauderdale.
Are your kids working at Disney World?
No. They all have
But they
different
love it.
summer jobs. Everybody's taking a week break from their summer jobs, and we're all going to Florida for a week. Brandy and I are driving. So we're taking a couple weeks to get out there,
Yeah.
and a couple weeks
So we're
to
not
get
going to
back.
see you for a long time.
I'm going to be gone for like 4 or 5 weeks,
When do you take off?
like in a week and a half.
Okay, so we'll see
Yeah.
you next week.
I'll be here next week.
Yeah.
I think.
Fun.
Even though that's July 5th next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think we talked about it in the last podcast at the one last thing, but we did put out a video finally.
Yes.
Garmin versus
Did.
Wahoo.
I saw it. I
Starting
watched
to do
it.
okay. It's getting some
It's
traction.
getting some traction. It's getting a little bit of heat out there.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's all good. I mean, because we're getting a lot of good comments. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm stoked on that. So there's that. And then I just wanted to kind of reach out. In this past like week and a half, there have been a lot of people who've been out riding their bikes and had the unfortunate
There's been
crash.
some wrecks. Yep.
Yeah, so lots of crashes out there. And I was counting, and there were 7 people I know in the last week and a half who have gone down. Some of them have been hurt pretty significantly, and some of them, not quite as, but still, be safe out there, folks.
Yes.
Take care of yourself. And for those that did go down, just wanted to send you some healing thoughts and vibes. Been thinking about you. I did want to mention Edward Dudlick, our teammate. My gosh, he did a gravel race, and he said it was like a war zone out there on the
It was
road.
up in the Olympic Peninsula area of the state of Washington.
Yeah, the course, the route. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they actually had the race go off because there was a lot of stuff out there that was pretty nasty. He caught a big crater in the road coming into a turn on a downhill, and he just couldn't miss it. And basically, his front tire went in, the bars rotated down, caused him to go down immediately. Landed on the bar, snapped the bar, the left handlebar at the halfway point snapped. So you've got like the hood, and you got the drop that's just kind of dangling down there.
It broke off. He sent a picture. I think I saw
Yeah.
a picture.
And so in the picture that he posted, though, there's that, and then you see a picture of him getting third place or the award. I'm like, how do those two things go together? So he goes down, he crashes, and he's sitting on the side of the road, and he's like, SAG support's going to have to come pick me up. This is but you got to know Edward. He's a tough mofo,
Yes,
and
he is.
he's funny, and he's like, he comes from the DC area, if I'm not mistaken, and he doesn't take any gruff. He's kind of like choice words and whatnot, I'm sure came out of his mouth, and he's like, F this. He got back on his bike and rode his bike like that for 18
With
miles.
the broken handlebar.
Yes.
Just like one side working.
One side
Yes.
working, the
Oh
right side
my
was
gosh.
working, and then the left side he was just holding on to the nub that was sticking out of the from the stem, and rode to the finish and still maintained third place.
That's amazing.
Holy cow, Edward! That guy is tough as nails, so that's good on you.
Kudos.
All right, I think that's it. Anything else, Matt?
That's it.
Have
That's
a good
good.
week. Stay warm. Be cool.
Yeah. Stay warm.
Yeah. Lance,
I'd feel sick just because it's too hot.
So hot.
Anyway,
it's gross.
Yeah. The power's out at our house, Jake.
right now,
Your probably house here too. I'm guessing your house is rolling blackouts.
Oh no, I haven't heard anything from anybody. So
Check your phone.
yeah, good times. Cool. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. We will see you next week. Bye for now.